أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أوفوا بالعقود وحلت لكم بهيمة الأنعام إلا ما يتلى عليكم غير محل الصيد وأنتم حرم إن الله يحكم ما يريد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أمرك والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره والدار العظيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. My brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today, 5th of Ramadan, which is year 1441 Hijri, which is equivalent to 28th of April, year 2020. We are going to continue with our Quranic studies, and today we are starting Surat al-Ma'idah. Surat al-Ma'idah is the surah number 5 in the arrangement of the Holy Quran. And yesterday we have finished Surat al-Nisa, which is surah number 4. So we are starting surah number 5, Surat al-Ma'idah. And Surat al-Ma'idah was revealed towards the end of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's life. And it was revealed immediately after Surat al-Fatih. Surat al-Ma'idah is Madaniyah, and we know that when surah is Madaniyah, when it is called Madaniyah, that means that it is revealed in Medina. But what does that mean actually? Does that mean that it was actually revealed inside of Medina? Or does it mean that it was revealed when the Prophet ﷺ migrated to Medina? Right? So there are different opinions about that. Some scholars say that it has to be actually revealed inside Medina, and some say no. The consideration is Hijrah of the Prophet ﷺ. As long as it's revealed after Hijrah, then it is considered the Surah of Medina. Some surahs are actually revealed in Tabuk when the Prophet ﷺ was on his way to Ghazwat Tabuk. So, for us to be able to that is the implication of the consideration whether surah is considered Medinan surah or Meccan surah because of the place it was revealed, or after Hijrah or before Hijrah. The implication is that the surahs, or the parts of the surahs that were revealed in other places, neither Meccan or Medina, like in the book, those surah will be more easily classified if we consider the time rather than the place, right? So based on this consideration, the whole of Surah Al-Ma'idah will be a Medinan surah, except for the fact that there's one verse in the surah which was revealed during the Hajjat al-Wada, when the Prophet ﷺ was performing his final Hajj. And the ayah is, as the verse is, اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. This particular verse was revealed to him sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Makkah. So based on the opinion of those who say that the place is considered, then that particular verse will be the only verse in Surah Al-Ma'idah, which is Meccan ayah in a Medinan surah, right? But based on the opinion of the scholars who consider the time rather than the place in terms of classification, that is what is revealed after the migration is what is considered Medina, then the whole of Surah Al-Ma'idah will be Medinan surah. Surah Al-Ma'idah has a number of topics it discusses relationship between servant and Allah, relationship between human being and other beings, a relationship with it talks about the relationship between Allah and the people of book before the coming of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is like a continuation of the story of Bani Israel, the Israelites, the one which has started right from Surah Al-Baqarah down to Surat Ali Imran and Surat An-Nisa, and it's like a continuation of that give and take between prophets and the Israelites and all of that. So these are some of the topics that the surah is discussing. The surah begins by saying, يا أيها الذين آمنوا أوفوا بالعقود أحلت لكم بهيمة الأنعام إلا ما يتلى عليكم غير محل الصيد وأنتم حرم إن الله يحكم ما يريد. O you who believe, fulfill all contracts. Lawful for you are the animals of grazing livestock, except for that which is recited for you in this Quran. Hunting not being permitted while you are in the state of Ihram. Indeed, Allah ordained what He intends. This particular verse is discussing two things, or about three things actually. The first thing that the verse is talking about is Ya ayyuhallazina amanu awfu bil uqud. Fulfill all your contracts. What is contract in the context of this ayah? Right? Whatever kind of contract you have with whomever, you have to fulfill that contract as long as you are a good Muslim and you are a good believer. So as long as you sign a contract, that contract is binding on you, right? That contract is binding on you. But is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala referring to a specific contract in this particular verse, or is it generic? Scholars have discussed this at length. When you look at Tafsir Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, he has enumerated a number of opinions from scholars. And the first opinion is the fact that there are many contracts that some Muslims, some Sahaba got into before Islam during the Jahiliyyah period. That Allah is inviting them to fulfill those contracts. Do not say that because those contracts happened during the Jahiliyyah time, you are not going to fulfill it. No, you have to fulfill it, regardless of the time. And there are many hadiths that Tabari used to back this opinion, like the hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that is talking about helpful fijar, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was invited to a fraternity called Helpful Fijar, fraternity to support the weak ones. When some weak people came for performing Hajj and some bad elements in Makkah tried to cheat on them and oppress them, and it was really very bad. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a young man at the time, and some young people came together and said that, okay, let's come together and create a fraternity to support a cause, and the cause is the cause of the weak ones. Anytime any weak people come here, we would not allow anyone to oppress them, regardless of whatever it is. We wouldn't let anyone oppress the weak ones. This is what we are going to stand for, right? So there are many kind of fraternities and contracts like those during the Jahiliyyah period, when people come together because of something, and that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is supporting the believers to continue keep that, right? The fact that it was contracted during the Jahiliyyah period does not mean that after coming to Islam you will not fulfill it. Fulfill it. Awfu bil uqud. And another interpretation of the word uqud is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has entered into contract with human beings. And there are levels for that contract. The first level is the fact that when we come to this life, alastu bi rabbikum, when we were just souls and spirits before we come on and take the form of flesh in this life, Allah has entered into contract with us and said, when you come to this life, you are going to worship none but me. You are going to fulfill all the obligations that I'm going to put on you. And we have accepted that. We might not actually remember, but we have accepted that. And the essence of sending the prophet is so that they will come and remind us of those contracts that we have entered with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before we come here. Right? There was a life of souls and spirits that we've been part of. That has happened there, and we are being reminded by the prophets. So Allah is inviting us to come and fulfill those contracts between us and Him. أحلت لكم بهيمة الأنعام. Allah has made lawful for you to eat all the crazy livestock animals that are livestock. They are permissible, lawful for you to slaughter and eat. But there are some which are not. إِلَّا مَا يُتْلَى عَلَيْكُمْ. Those that were being recited for you in this book, that is in this particular, in this chapters, in this chapter, in the verses that follow this one, or in other verses in other chapters in the Holy Quran, Allah is giving us exception. The whole idea is once you come, that is the qaida of the rule of the principles of jurisprudence in Islam, which is called usul al-fiqh. Once you come to this life, everything is lawful. And then Sharia comes so that it gives you exceptions from that general rule. But the originality is that once you come here, you have the liberty, the freedom to do whatever you want to do, whatever you want to do. The whole idea of Sharia is to come and give you exceptions. You can do everything except that you would have to believe, except that you'd have to establish prayers, except that you'd have to use zakat, except that if you have the means, you have to go for Hajj, except that when the month of Ramadan comes, you have to fast the month of Ramadan. So the whole idea of Sharia is about um, the exceptions. So the same thing applies here. Allah is saying, "Illa ma yutla alaykum," except for those things that we are going to recite for you in this book, in this particular chapter, or in all the chapters of this book, except for those things, any other grazing animals are lawful for you. غير محل الصيد. And in the same vein of the exceptions, we did not allow you to make it lawful for yourself to go hunting وأنتم حرم while you are in the state of ihram, in the state of performing either Hajj or Umrah. So you cannot do that. In Allah يحكم ما يريد. Allah ordains what He intends. أيها الذين آمنوا لا تحلوا شعائر الله ولا الشهر الحرام ولا الهدي ولا القلائد ولا آمين البيت الحرام يبتغون فضلا من ربهم ورضوانا وإذا حللتم فاصطادوا ولا يجرمنكم شنآن قوم أن صدوكم عن المسجد الحرام أن تعتدوا وتعاونوا على البر والتقوى ولا تعاونوا على الإثم والعدوان واتقوا الله إن الله شديد العقاب. O you who have believed, do not violate the rights of Allah or the sanctity of the sacred month, or neglect the marking of the sacrificial animals and garlanding them, or violate the safety of those coming to the sacred house seeking bounty from their Lord and His approval. But when you come out of the haram, then you may hunt. And do not let the hatred of people for having obstructed you from Al-Masjid Al-Haram lead you to transgress. And cooperate in righteousness and piety, but do not cooperate in sin and aggression. Fear Allah. Allah is severe in punishment and penalty indeed. This particular verse is talking about a number of things, and the first is يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تحلوا شعائر الله. Do not violate the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This sha'air Allah are anything that is going to indicate the holiness of the place, because we worship there, like the Masjid al-Haram, the Hajj itself, the Umrah, the Kaaba, the Nizam al-Rahman, all of those places, they are what is called Sha'air. Do not disrespect those things. Do not violate the respect of those places. Wala Shihar al-Haram. And do not disrespect or violate a Shihar al-Haram. Shihar al-Haram in this respect is talking about uh, Zulhijjah, because that is the time of Hajj, even though that this may extend to all the Ashur al-Hurum, which are four, Zulqa'dah, Zulhajj, and Muharram, and then Rajab al-Fard, which is not together with them in the counting. And do not also violate wal al-Hadiya, the animals that are brought for sacrifice, sacrificial animal. Wal al-Qala'ida, that is the marking that is given to those animals so that it will indicate that these animals are meant to be sacrificial animals. وَلَا آمِنَ الْبَيْتَ الْحَرَامَ, and do not also violate the people who approach the Bayt al-Haram, the Kaaba, going there for performing either Hajj or Umrah, يَبْتَغُونَ فَضْلًا مِنْ رَبِّهِمْ, and they are coming there looking for the bounty of their Lord and trying to please their Lord. Do not violate all those people. Right? It is narrated that this verse was revealed because someone came to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Medina, and he left his animal. The animal he came with, his ride, he left it outside of, in the outskirts of Medina. He came inside of Medina walking, and then he met the Prophet inside the mosque, and then he asked him, "Oh Muhammad, what are you calling people to?" He said, "I'm calling people to believe in their Lord, and to establish prayers, and to give charity, and to perform Hajj, and to fast in the month of Ramadan." He said, "Okay, that's beautiful. We are calling people to really beautiful things, right? But the only thing is that I cannot take decision alone because I came on behalf of some people. I would have to go back and consult with them, and then probably will come all of us at once and accept this your claims." And then he left. After he left, the Prophet ﷺ said to the people sitting near him, he came in with the face of a kafir, non-believer, and he went out with the face of a deceitful person. That is to say that Allah let the Prophet understand that this person is a liar. He wasn't truthful about what he was saying. He wasn't there actually to accept Islam. He was there with an ulterior motive. So when he was going out of Medina, when he was alone there, no one was around there, he saw some cattle of animals, and he stole the cattle and left with the cattle of the animal. Right? So when the Sahaba went for Hajj in Mecca, all of a sudden they run into that person. And he came for Hajj. At that time, the non-believers also would come for Hajj, and Allah described the way they perform their Hajj in another verse. He said, وَمَا كَانَ صَلَاتُهُمْ عِنْدَ الْبَيْتِ إِلَّا مُكَانًا. They would come there sometimes naked, and they would come and they'll be clapping and dancing and thinking that by doing that they are pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ta'ala Allah wa ma yaqulu zalimuna uluwan kabira. So they will be doing all of that, clapping and dancing, and they will come with their animals, sacrificial animals, just the way the Muslims do. So they will come with the sacrificial animals, and they will give some indication that these animals are for sacrifice, and that is what is called al-qala'id. Al-qala'id is a form of putting the fur of the animal in, to mix it together, to put it together in a way that it will indicate that this animal is meant for sacrifice. So when the Sahaba saw that person, they wanted to go confront him and confiscate all the sacrificial animals he came with. So, forgetting the fact that that person came for Hajj and came for doing sacrifice towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the Prophet stopped them from doing that. He said, "No, you can't do that. It's no longer about him, and it's no longer about us. It's no longer about the fact that he has stolen from us. This is now about violating Allah, al-hurumat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, hurumat sha'ir Allah. So you can do that, right? And after the Prophet ﷺ stopped them from doing that, then later on the verse was revealed confirming what the Prophet did. It is confirming that actually what he did was the right thing. The action he has taken was the right action, right? Forget about the fact that he has stolen from you. Forget about the fact that he has deceived you. But as long as you met him here, this place has its own um, its own holiness, and you cannot violate the holiness of this place. It's no longer about him. You have to just let him be, right? And it's actually ironical that nowadays people will go all out violating mosques, violating churches, violating synagogues in the name of fighting for religion. That is really, most especially if you look at it from the Islam perspective, this is really, really ridiculous because they are entirely uh, doing something that is entirely contrary to the teaching of Islam. Islam is it's not even protecting the right of those holy places, but even people that are evil people, people who are stealing from others, people who are deceiving others, right? But still Allah is protecting them simply because they are in what? They are in in the sanctity of these sacred places, and they are within the sanctity of this sacred month. Allah said, you can't violate them. Look at even the way Allah put it. You can't violate these people. Like going there to ask them for your right, as long as it is within the sanctity of the month and within the sanctity of these sacred places, you are violating them and you are violating the place. So really, it's amazing how um, this religion is a religion of high level of morality, right? If you are of low level of morality, I think the best thing if you're a Muslim is to try to hide yourself because you will give this religion a very bad representation. This religion is for you, but you have to realize that you might be in this religion on training, right? You might be in the religion but on training. You are not qualified to represent the religion if you are not high up there in terms of morality, right? يبتغون فضلا من ربهم ورضوانا وإذا حللتم فاصطادوا. But remember in the beginning when Allah in the first verse says يا أيها الذين آمنوا أوفوا بالعقود وحلت لكم بهيمة الأنعام إلا ما يتلى عليكم غير محل الصيد. He said even hunting is not allowed for you to do when you are in a state of al-ihram. So this particular mention of Said here is a continuation of that. And he said, وَإِذَا حَلَلْتُمْ فَاصْطَادُوا. Notice Allah did not even talk about that person. After you did the halal, you are no longer in the state of al-ihram. He didn't even talk about what is going to happen between you and that person. There's a specific, well-established, well-known way of demanding for your right from someone who has taken your right. So there's no need to go back to that, right? You know that. You know the way in which you should ask for your right from someone who has violated your right. Right, so now Allah is even talking about Said, hunting, وَإِذَا حَلَلْتُمْ. So when you are outside of the state of al-ihram, فَاصْطَادُوا. Now it is lawful for you to hunt for animals so that you can feed yourself. ولا يجرمنكم شنآن قوم أن صدوكم عن المسجد الحرام أن تعتدوا. Now that you are powerful, now that we came back for Hajjatul Wada, now that you can do whatever you want to do, لا يجرمنكم شنآن قوم أن صدوكم عن المسجد الحرام أن تعتدوا. You do not use the hatred that you have in your heart against some people to violate them or to transgress against them. regardless of the fact that they have actually blocked you from Masjid al-Haram when you are weak. Some few years before then, about 3, 4 years before then, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came with everyone, about 10,000 people thereabout, to perform Hajj with their sacrificial animals. And the sacrificial animals having their own qala'id, the indication that these animals are for sacrifice, with all indications that we did not come to fight anyone. We actually came here to perform Hajj. But you are denied the right, which is even against the rules of Arabs at the time, but you are denied the right to perform Hajj. They were even denied the right to enter the city of Mecca. They were stopped, blocked, and violated, as a result of which the Sulh al-Hudaybiyah took place, the agreement of, or the Treaty of Hudaybiyah took place, the road agreements, the agreement that looks very detrimental to the Muslims people at the time, that they still agree and wrote that treaty, and they went back, they left. Right? But by the time they became powerful, ideally, since they were violated, they came with their sacrificial animal, thinking that you are coming to perform Hajj. Normally, human being would want to retaliate, would want to do the same thing, right? But Allah used the same words that describes them at that time to describe other people and say that, okay, these people have these descriptions, do not violate against them. Do not violate this place and do not violate this month. It's not about them, it's about God. And you are of the God, right? They are not your teachers, so you don't take your lessons from what they have done to you 4 years ago. In fact, not even 4 years ago, they have oppressed you for a consecutive 13 years before you decided to migrate to Medina. And they still continue to oppress you, even though you were in Medina. And even at the time you came back to perform Hajj, molested you, they violated you, they oppressed you, they blocked you. But at the same time, you are not allowed to do the same to them, because you're supposed to be the teachers. They're supposed to learn the morality from you. You are not supposed to learn the moralities from them. That is the teaching of Islam. So beautiful, unimaginable. I said this before and I will repeat it. If you are a Muslim and you know within yourself that you are not at that high up there in terms of morality, please hide yourself, because you will give Islam a very bad representation, which is what is happening today the world over, right? Then Allah said, وَلَا يَجْرِمَنَّكُمْ شَنَآنُ قَوْمٍ أَنْ صَدُّوكُمْ عَنِ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ أَنْ تَعْتَدُوا. So the hatred of some people should not make you violate those people, and they should not make you um, should not make you be unjust to those people. But at the same time, even though Allah is telling the Muslims, the Sahaba, not to violate, it's so beautiful. Sometimes you don't even have words to express it. Even though He's stopping them, and He described how they feel in their heart, the hatred that they feel towards the people of Mecca at the same time. But Allah very quickly justified the hatred, because these are human beings we are dealing with here. They have hearts, they have feelings. So Allah justified that I know that they have wronged you big time. And Saddukum anil Masjid al-Haram. They have blocked you from coming to the Masjid al-Haram. And it was really a big deal, because no one does that in those days, even though they were not Muslim, but no one does that, right? But they blocked you. So you have every justification to really feel bad. You have every justification to really hate them as much as you want to. But that hatred can never justify for you to violate them. You can feel it, but you can't act upon it. You can't do that as long as you answer them in Muslim. وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى. Come together, form fraternities, and support each other, as long as it is on al-bir and taqwa, something that is pleasing to Allah, something that will make you pious, something that will make you conscious of Allah. You can come together and do and cooperate and work together for fraternity. وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. Do not come together and support each other as long as it is evil, as long as it is terrorism, as long as it is violation of someone. You can come together. You can support each other on violations of other people, on evil, but you can always come together to support each other as long as it is pleasing to God what you want to do. It is something that will make you God conscious. You can come together and do that. You see, there's something interesting here that I would like to also talk about. The issue of fraternity, people coming together, and then it escalates to becoming um, something like um, fraternity, and then cultism, sort of, and all of that. You see, when you look at cultism, most of the starting point is religious. Cultism generally begins from religious fraternity. And the idea of establishing that cultism in most cases, beginning is a very noble idea, right? A very noble idea, very noble objectives. We want to support each other so we succeed together. So we have to succeed together or fall together. That's a noble thing to do, right? But along the line, and by the way, it is absolutely natural for every group of religious people to turn into a form of cultism. It's absolutely natural because these are people believing in something. In most cases, they are the only ones who believe in that thing from among the people in the society and the community. And these are people who face threats of being eliminated by the society. So they would have to keep to themselves. And by the time they keep to themselves, it is absolutely natural to want to keep remaining remaining in the dark, in the shadow, because they face the challenge of being eliminated by the rest of the society. And um, the more relegated to the background they are in the society, the more secretive they become. And that is bad for them and bad for the society, right? So it's really far better to let people be, let them practice whatever it is that they want to practice, even if you don't like it, before they become dangerous to the society. But so because this is a natural human phenomenon, Allah address it, right? It's not like Allah just left it. No, Allah addressed it, right? He said, look, you can come together if they need be, but make sure that when you come together, is it fraternity, whatever it is, whatever it is that you want to do, it has to be something that is albir and at-taqwa, something pleasing to Allah and something that will make you God's conscious, right? But you can't come together and form alliances. You are the manager or you are a director in a ministry, and then your friend in another ministry, and another one, and then you form fraternity to cheat the ministries, to steal the money, and you form a fraternity to support one of you to win election by a whole group, whether 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people are going to die as long as that person is a member of your fraternity. He has to win that election. As long as that person is a member of your fraternity, he has to ascend that throne. He has to get that job. He has to get that contract. He has to get whatever it is. That is an ismul udwan. That is an ismul udwan that Allah is warning us against. You can't do that, because if you do that, what you're doing actually is that you are selling your eternity and accepting as a price to that dunya, which is really very small. What lifespan do you have? Probably 80 years, 70 years, and you're gone, and that's it. That's the end of everything. That is really a very poor bargain from your side if you do that to yourself. You're cheating on yourself, right? Assuming you're even going to live very long. يود أحدهم لو يعمر ألف سنة وما هو بمزحزحه من العذاب أن يعمر. You might wish to live for 1,000 years. Live for a millennium. That's not a problem. After the millennium, you're going to die. And then you're going to be punished by Allah. Is it really worth it? I don't think so. So it's not worth it. Wattaqullah, Allah said, be God conscious is better for you. In Allah shadidil iqab. Allah's punishment is really severe. حرمت عليكم الميتة والدم ولحم الخنزير وما أهل لغير الله به والمنخنقة والموقوذة والمتردية والنطيحة وما أكل السبع إلا ما ذكيتم وما ذبح على النصب وأن تستقسموا بالأزلام ذلكم فسق اليوم يئس الذين كفروا من دينكم فلا تخشوهم واخشون اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا فمن اضطر في مخمصة غير متجانف لإثم فإن الله غفور رحيم حرمت عليكم الميتة والدم ولحم الخنزير وما أهل لغير الله. This verse has a number of things. The first part of the verse is talking about the exception from uhilla lakum in the first verse, right? When Allah said, all the animals, grazing animals, are lawful for you. You can slaughter them, you can consume them. Illa ma yutla alaykum, except that which is being recited for you. And that which is being recited is what is contained in the beginning of this verse. Hurrimat alaykum al-maita, right? Maita is the animal that died on its own without being slaughtered. That is al-maita. And that one is prohibited. You cannot consume it. With them, blood, you slaughtered an animal, and then the blood is gushing out, and then put a container under, and then you keep it for some time, and then you want to make a food using that blood. That is also prohibited. You cannot consume it. Walahmul khinzir, and the pork is also prohibited for you. And look at al-hikmah al-ilahiyya, the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? In all the other animals, the maita, and the other ones that we are going to see in the future, after this, Allah is mentioning the animal with an adjective, with a prescription in the way that animal is killed. So it's not about the animal, it is about the way in which the animal is killed, right? Adam, the maita, we're talking about the animal that just died on its own without being slaughtered, right? Al-munkhaniqa, al-mawquza, al-mutaraddiya, al-natiha, all of those, we're going to talk about them. The way in which they were killed, that is what matters, not the animal themselves. Okay, what about pig? Pig is also prohibited, right? We can't, as a Muslim, we cannot consume pig. But wait a minute, is it because Allah hated pig like some people want to insinuate? No, that is not the case. And that is the reason when they mentioned here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so his word so beautifully crafted. He didn't even say pig. No, it's not about pig. He said, lahmul khinzir, the flesh of the pig. So it is not about pig, it's about the flesh, pork. So it is pork that we are talking about here, not pig. We are not talking about the animal, we are talking about the flesh. We are talking about the meat of that animal. Allah is teaching us in everything. He created all of us, but even the way he addresses us, full of respect for us and full of respect even for other creatures, including animals. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hurrimat alaykum al-mayta. The animal that just died on its own is prohibited for you. A damn blood is is prohibited for you. لحم الخنزير, pork is prohibited for you. وما أحل لغير الله به, what is slaughtered in the name of other than Allah is also prohibited for you. والمنخنقة, the animal that was strangulated is also prohibited for you. والموقوذة, the animal that was beaten to death is also prohibited for you. والمتردية, the animal that was thrown from top of a hill and it comes down and died is also prohibited for you. والنطيحة, the animal that is killed either by another animal's horn, another animal fighting it and then stabbed it with its horn, or stabbed with a horn by a human being. Whatever the case may be, it is called with using a horn. That animal is also prohibited for you. Okay, what is the wisdom behind all these animals prohibited for us? What is the wisdom, right? Wisdom is that you would hear many scholars saying that because some of these things might be harmful to your health, like the pork is proven scientifically to be very harmful to human body when you consume it. Is the most toxic meat in the world, and it has the potential to cause cancer. It's very cancerous, and blood, that is the container of all the germs within an animal, and all these sort of explanations which are good and beautiful explanations. But something beyond these explanations and beyond this justification is the fact that there is something about your spiritual well-being not to eat all these animals or all these categorizations. There's something about your spiritual well-being. What is it about your spiritual well-being that has to do with this? Is the fact that these animals, you did not create them. You did not contribute anything and them having life. So for you to consume them, you have to terminate their life, which you did not create, you did not contribute in its creation. And for you to do that, since you did not create them, you have to have a full permission from that one who created them, who started that life. He has to give you full permission because they don't belong to you. You don't own them. The fact that you pay 50,000 to buy a ram does not mean that you own his life. You might actually own the body and whatever it is, the shekel, the form, but that respected life that Allah breathed into that animal, you don't own it and you can't own it. And for you to actually be able to consume that and to terminate that life first and then consume that animal, you have to get a special permission from the one who created that life to begin with. And if that is the case, then you have to listen to that who created that animal to tell you how he wants that life to be terminated, for that animal to be lawful for you to consume. And that is an important thing spiritually. Very, very important, more important than all the explanations about the fact that pork is cancerous, the fact that blood has a lot of germs and viruses in it. And it's more important than all those explanations. Those explanations are also valid, important, beneficial to you, to your health. But the explanation I've just given is beneficial to you spiritually. Therefore, more important than all these explanations. It is not lawful for you to also consume what is eaten by wild animals, because if you just came and find the leftover of some wild animals, a lion hunted down a zebra, and you decided to take part of the leftover, you have downgraded yourself to the level of the animal, to the level of the hunting animal, the wild animal, right? You don't know the rules, the jungle justice, the kind of rules that govern the jungle justice made it lawful for them to kill and eat one another. You are not part of that rule. That rule is not meant for you as human beings. It's meant for them as animals, right? But you are really honored by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. And now you want to come so low to begin to eat together with wild animals, and probably so that that kind of law would not transfer itself back to the human society. Allah said, no, if you find a leftover of an animal, of a wild animal, it's not lawful for you to eat. You can't eat it. لَمَا زَكَّيْتُمْ. Except, for example, if you went there before the hunted animal dies, and then the hunting animal, the wild animal, runs away, and then you actually slaughter it, and لَمَا زَكَّيْتُمْ. You slaughter it, and it dies as a result of you slaughtering it, not as a result of being hunted by that wild animal. That is when you can now eat it, because it is now killed based on the regulations given to you, not based on the regulations of the wild animal. And then that thing which is slaughtered in front of a monument, and as a sign of a sacrifice to the monument, it's a sign of respect for the monument. The monument can be idols, it can be sculpture of a respected historical person that you respect and all of that. Even though you hardly find worshiping of idols in nowadays, but we have a lot of, at least not in the as rampant as you found it 1,000 years ago, but you have hero worshiping today. So Allah made that prohibited for us completely from that time till today. وأن تستقسموا بالإسلام, and تستقسموا بالإسلام is a culture that Arab used to have some big pots, right? Some big pots that they have around Kaaba and around all their worshiping place. They go there, slaughter animals, and then try to find out about. It's like a soothsayer there. I would tell them what the future holds for them and all of that. And equivalent of that today is astrology and all that kind of prophecy and through astrology and all of that is haram. Allah said no to that. And I think we cannot be able to complete this verse today because of time, so we'll have to stop here, inshallah, and inshallah continue from where we stop tomorrow. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا برحمتك شر ما قضيت فإنك تقضي بالحق ولا يقضى عليك إنه لا يعز من عاديت ولا يذل من واليت تبارك ربنا وتعالى. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تهول به بيننا وبين معاصيك ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا ومتعنا اللهم بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقواتنا أبدا ما حييتنا واجعله الوارث منا واجعل ثارنا على من ظلمنا وانصرنا على من عادانا ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا ولا إلى النار مصيرنا ولا تسلط علينا بذنوبنا من لا يخافك فينا ولا يرحمنا يا رب العالمين. اللهم ربنا زكي نفوسنا وآتها تقواها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها. اللهم ربنا زكي نفوسنا وآتها تقواها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها. اللهم ربنا زكي نفوسنا وآتها تقواها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.